There's that personal service if they want it. I always say to everyone, if you want a recommendation for a product or service, like, let me know and I'll make a personal introduction for you.
Yeah.
We make a very small commission on the events because I haven't had that commercial mindset. I've had a community mindset, which is I want the majority of that money to go to the hospitality vendor that's looking after us, and I want these people to come and make friends. So therefore, like, the revenue stream is more the memberships and sponsors and things like that. There's like a billion factors when it comes to fertility, and I just wanted to be kind of a different voice in that mix. And I needed it for myself more than anything to just have that outlet. I really felt like I'd found my voice at this point. I said, it was, what do I do with that voice?
Yeah.
So when I went to this 2-day course at the coaching academy, I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for years. Amazing. There's a point where you give it away for free and there's a point where you charge for it.
Yeah.
And lots of people saw my posts about it, and it was funny because people would read it out for me and they'd be like, oh, shall we have lunch? I mean, just lunch, like I'm not trying to get free coaching. And I'd be like,
all right, well, welcome to Business Blogs. Lyndsey Clay, owner of Connected Brighton. Is it just Connected Brighton, or is it Connected full stop? It's just Connected now, isn't it?
It's Connected Brighton, but the franchise is going to be Connected in the City.
Got you, okay. And also Lyndsey Clay Coaching.
Yes.
Cool. And apparently now a radio station.
Yeah, radio show host, Regency Radio.
Yeah. What's
Off the record.
Okay.
With Lyndsey Clay.
Okay. Oh, that's
Every Tuesday.
It's off the record, or
it's off the record. It's called Off the Record.
I was going to say, because
it's off the record. It just kind of like be a bit freer with the things that I talk about.
Okay.
So I do talk about connected stuff. I talk about like funny Brighton stories and things that have happened growing up in the city and all sorts of things. Yeah, it's fun.
Can we start with the funny Brighton story? So that's really interesting.
Oh, well, like these are things about like growing up. Like it makes me laugh now. Like my nieces, when they were kind of like 14, 15, they'd be going for like bougie brunches with their mates.
Yeah.
And like when I was 14, I was going to Burger King and smoking cigarettes, putting out an aluminium foil ashtray, like all other teenagers. Whereas now, like Brighton's got so bougie, and like we would never have dreamt of going to like a cafe or anything. We were like very much like working class kids, number one.
Yeah.
But that just facility didn't exist. So it just makes me laugh, like looking at the difference of Brighton. It's so bougie and it's so cool now, but it was just grungy and cheap when I was growing up. Like that was my Brighton.
Yeah. So hang on. So you grew up in Brighton?
Yeah, born and bred.
I didn't know. I didn't actually know that. Okay, cool. So because I would have been here 20 years next year.
Oh wow.
But I've seen it change, but you must have seen it really change.
Oh yeah, like growing up was very really different. Like I didn't know you could go out for dinner, for like an Indian dinner. I didn't realise that because we only have it as a takeaway as a family.
Right.
And like Chinese restaurant, I didn't realise you can go and eat Chinese out either. Like again, that was just like a takeaway thing. So I didn't feel like the hospitality scene wasn't anything like what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It was, or maybe that was also indicative of us being a working class family, that we didn't maybe have the money to go out as much. But it was very studenty. It was very grungy. It didn't have that kind of like finesse that it does now. And so I remember traveling at 25 and coming home, and my local pub where I had worked at 18 with like sticky floors and your metal tin with a paintbrush to empty all the ashtrays, we suddenly had cherry beer and kettle chips. And I was like, what has gone on? And my local park was selling like cappuccinos and ciabatta. And I was like, what? what happened? I went away 12 months and everything's shifted. And it's kind of just got cooler and bougier from there.
It's funny because I always think of like, for me, Brighton has always it's been three different things for me, because when I first came to Brighton, it was about being in a band, it was about being a musician. Then for the next 10 years, it was about the kind of job that I was in. And now it kind of means something completely different entirely. But I'm just curious in how, I suppose, like Brighton has maybe shifted in its meaning for you over the years. Like,
oh yeah, massively. I mean, starting Connected Brighton has completely changed my view of my own hometown. So I knew when I started Connected that I wanted to protect independent hospitality. That was the big driver behind it, of suddenly realising like, oh my gosh, if we lose independent bars and restaurants and cafes, Brighton loses a lot of its personality. Then it just becomes like a beach with the Wetherspoons, and that's not quite the draw for tourism, and we rely so heavily on it.
Yeah.
But what I didn't appreciate was that all the stories behind the city, you know, spending more time at the Royal Pavilion and hearing more about the history. You know, every time I go into someone's bar or restaurant or cafe and I get to look out their window and hear their story of why they came to Brighton, you know, I spend more time in Hove. Previously, I would spend all my time in Brighton, like I'm a Brighton girl.
Yeah.
And so now I spend more time over in Hove, and I love the friends I've made, and I get to, again, like visit their houses and look out their window and I see like their view of Brighton. I feel more passionate than ever about how important this city is to the people that choose to live here. And I want to be a positive part of making that experience as good for them as possible. I feel more responsible for the experience that people have in Brighton.
That's cool. I like that, because as someone who's grown up here as well, you must have a real kind of place in your heart, I guess, right?
Yeah, like, you know, I've gone travelling, but I've never lived anywhere else in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, I did my like year backpacking in Australia, and I did like my divorce tour across, you know, America and stuff like that. But I've never actually. Oh yeah, snack nap hope, in aid of eat love pray. But I love travel, but I can't imagine living anywhere else in the UK. I think Brighton is really special. And we've got things that other people don't have here. Not just the pavilion, but so many like firsts happened in Brighton. You know, the fact that, you know, the aquarium is the oldest, Duke of York's is the oldest cinema.
Yeah.
We were the first commercial flight at Shoreham. You know, we had the first movie industry in Hove. You know, all of these like really random things. Like Brighton has been so innovative and creative for as long as it's been around. And the more stories I hear, and all, you know, we do walks with authors, the wonderful Louise Peskett. We do her The Fearless and the Fabulous Women of Brighton and Hove tour. And I love hearing all those stories of people that have made the city and like the world what it is today, but started in Brighton.
That's really cool, actually, because I guess, you know, you probably do have quite a rich perspective after speaking to all these different industries and stuff. What about your journey into being a business owner? Like, I mean, like, for example, like for me, it was being a musician, going into a corporate role, and then realizing that I needed to do my own thing. Like, I'm just curious, what's your story going into it?
What's the story? The story, I never intended to start a business. That was never even on my mind. I knew being in corporate that there was something I was meant for, but I didn't know what it was. I kept kind of playing on my mind that it can't just be this. And I used to think about maybe I'm meant to be famous for something, but I didn't know what I was meant to be famous for. You're like when you're just really bored and you're caught in your 9 to 5 life. Maybe I will be a rock star. Maybe I'll be on the telly box. Who knows? And then, but it was always just assumed I'd be in corporate. I think I'm very much from that standard of how your life is meant to run, and that is like you have a 9 to 5, you meet someone, you settle down, and you have a family. Crack on. You know, that was what I thought was going to happen to me. And then when that didn't happen to me, so everything for me happened when I realised I was infertile, went through IVF, had a failed cycle, had a miscarriage, and just the stress and pressure of it all led to my divorce. And then I was in my mid-30s and feeling really isolated, not just in society now as a mid-30s single and childless woman, but also in my friendship circle who now all had children. And so we were at a different place and a different pace in our lives. And I really threw myself into my career. And then I started writing a blog about it. I just needed that release. I've always been quite creative looking back. And I started writing about it. So I put an Instagram together called Not the Blueprint. I talked about it really openly. And there was no selling involved in that. It was literally just like a healing platform, like for me and for anyone else that needed to hear it, that it's really normal to not be able to have children. It's really normal to have fertility trouble. It's really normal to not be able to find someone to have children with if you want to have them. It's really normal to be at a different place and pace with your partner when it comes to having children. You know, society has changed. We are having children later, which makes it harder. There's like a billion factors when it comes to fertility. And I just wanted to be kind of a different voice in that mix. And I needed it for myself more than anything to just have that outlet. And I never expected anybody I knew to follow me. I didn't know how algorithms worked in those days.
What year was this? Sorry?
This was back in like 2016.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, 2016, 2017. So it was early 2017 when I actually got the handle and just wrote the first post, which was all about like surviving what had happened to me and how I wanted to be a force for good. And talk about it. Because I was in this weird position where I'd actually never really wanted children, but just thought that's what you have to do. And then there was just heaps of social pressure to do it. And so I just expected that was going to happen at some point, but I did try to delay it because I really loved my career and I was more worried about ambition at work than I was family ambition. So we didn't start trying until like in our mid-30s, or yeah, probably about 33, something like that. And then obviously discovered that I wasn't able to, which kind of made sense to me because I'd never had that draw. Like I always joke, I had friends that would like breastfeed a kitten, they're so maternal. And I just never felt that way. And people that would go crazy for like baby clothes and like tiny baby shoes, and it just didn't really, I didn't have the same reaction to other people. And now I know I don't have that same hormonal drive that other women will have naturally. That I just, my high is low and my low is high. And so I don't have that. And it was kind of a relief in some ways. As much as I felt like I wasn't a woman, I definitely had to kind of grieve it. But it also then helped life make sense and how I felt about children make sense to me. Like I adore my nieces. I think my friends' kids are really fun. I love watching them become parents. But I don't feel there's not a loss in my life for not having a family, for sure. But it did feel, and people talk to you differently when you don't have children. I think especially as women, because you're assumed that you must be maternal and you must want children. And then it's a bit confusing to people when you're happy without them. And the immediate reaction is always like pity rather than what does that, and I always try and say like, just ask someone how they feel about that. If they say to you they can't have children, not they don't have children, they don't have children, that's a different statement. But if they say they can't have children, don't assume it's a bad thing. That might be a gift for them. It might be what they want. But there's this automatic pity, which then makes you feel like you're less because you're in a situation where people will feel sad for you.
And how has that evolved from, say, like, because I can't imagine like when you first got asked that, I would imagine that might have been quite tough to hear. Like, how has the evolution of that developed, I suppose? Like, if someone to say that to you now, for example, how would you react now versus how you did then?
So I do talk about infertility a lot now, and I talk about it in a different way. So I feel like originally with Not the Blueprint, it was more about kind of grieving for the life I wasn't going to have now, and grieving the loss of my husband and my marriage and sort of my place in my friendship circle and my place as a woman. I was in a very different stage of that kind of grief cycle at that point, whereas now I've had that opportunity to go through that process. I feel really strong and passionate about talking about infertility and I didn't want to be the poster girl for it. I was for a little while, but I want to be a force for showing you that it's really to normalise it. And I think the only way you normalise something is by talking about it. So now I just want to educate people on, you know, what it means for some people, to be gentle with some, but you can have a conversation. I think it's always have a conversation. Like, don't just assume that this is a sad or bad or a good thing. Have a conversation first to just help those navigate who might be in a position where actually it is a wound that will never heal. And I know plenty of men and women who feel that way, that life will never be complete for them because they didn't become a parent. Whereas there's childless and there's child-free. And I think there's people that feel childless and they feel less for it. And there's people that are child-free like me who are glad and grateful for the freedom it brings. And there is a big difference. That experience of writing Not the Blueprint and being so open and honest and vulnerable then led to lots of people reaching out to me and telling me how much I was inspiring them and motivating them, and people who were like, I'm really worried that I'm going to end up having kids and I don't want them, and they could relate to that part of my story, or they were single and like, I just don't know if I'm ever going to find anyone. And I just wanted to continue the conversation, and how could I continue to be like a positive enabler for people. And so I looked at different therapies that I could train in. I really felt like I'd found my voice at this point. So it was, what do I do with that voice? And I found coaching, and coaching just seemed like such a natural fit for me. In my corporate career, I was senior leader in corporate planning and performance, which is ultimately a form of coaching. So when I went to this 2-day course at the Coaching Academy, I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for years. Amazing. And it just, like, I love the idea of posing those questions and that process and that formula to personal goals and personal plans. And something just clicked, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've totally found my thing. And I threw myself into the course, absolutely loved it. And then I got headhunted into like a really big senior leadership role, and coaching kind of had to take a bit of a back seat. And I just focused on this amazing new experience of working in a big corporate then pandemic happened. And then in the pandemic, I got made redundant. And then I started doing a consulting role, again, as a head of department for a regulator. And it just gave me an opportunity to think about actually, who am I now and where am I now? And I felt quite disillusioned with corporate life by this point. And I know that's something that you've also gone through. And I just don't think this is the environment for me. Like, I left one company and gone back to it 2 years later, and it was like the same people complaining about the same things. And I just thought, oh my God, there is more to life.
Yeah.
And fueled by the pandemic, where I couldn't do all the things that I really loved, like travel and meet people and experience life. You know, my dad died of a heart attack when I was 21 and he was only 52. And it's given me this like drive for life. Like, I want to enjoy it as much as I can and make the absolute most of it. And I just remember being online, listening to people complain, thinking, I just don't think it's here. This can't be what life is. And then realizing that my social circle was still very different. You know, all my friends are still married with kids. Like, I'm still single without kids. My friends who were part of my bigger corporate career were in London and beyond. They weren't in Brighton. You couldn't travel. And I was earning good money in this consulting role. And I don't want to date. I want mates. Like, where are the mates like me who can afford, who've got the time, money and motivation that now my friends who are families don't have as much of, but I have in abundance. So where's the balance? Like, yes, I can go for like coffees and walks and brunches with them. But if I want to go out in the nighttime, who am I going out with now?
Yeah.
And I just saw this gap that there just isn't anything for like 35 plus, or at that point 40 plus, of how do I make my friends and find like my people that will go out for bougie cocktails or swanky dinners, and, you know, almost like those kind of fun diners clubs you see for like retirees who are just like living their best life. And I'm like, why don't we have that for like younger people, when like we want to get together and do fun stuff and have new experiences? And made me think about my time when I was traveling, of going on like food tours and the different people that you'd meet and the conversations, and how you like bond with someone over those really bespoke activities. And that's something so different and exciting and interesting and curated, but none of that was available. And so I just saw this gap for something that I really wanted for myself. And I just kept talking about it to friends on like socially distanced walks. I think I bore a hole around Preston Park. And I was like,
bumped into you.
I know, yeah. Do you know what? I think that now, about if someone like showed a photo of like different stages over the last 10 years of how many of us would have been in the same rooms that now know each other in this persona.
It's just funny that you said specifically there, because when me and my wife were in lockdown, we were actually homeless at the time, because that's a whole other story, but we had to live with friends because we didn't have anywhere to live. And we were in the process of trying to find somewhere to live. And it was in between where we were staying and where we were trying to get, which was here. Preston Park was in the middle. So we always walked like to here to kind of like spy on this new place that we wanted to get. And we'd always go through Preston Park and we'd do laps around it. Obviously that's all you could do. So yeah, it just makes you wonder if like maybe we had, you know, crossed paths
with each other's vortex. I think we would have done. Honestly, I was there all the time. That's all you could do. And I remember my friend gave me we were joking about like together but apart. You know, they used to say that on all the news things, like we're together like but 2 meters apart. And in Preston Park or around everywhere, they had drawn the lines, hadn't they, of like 2 meters, so that you knew it. And my friend gave me like a birthday card saying celebrating together but apart. It's like, we are celebrating together apart. But like all my friends, I've got lots of friends who are born and bred Brighton. Like there's quite a few. People are always so like, oh my God, you're like actually born in Brighton, like you're such a rarity.
I was surprised.
Oh really? Like there's loads of them hanging out in the suburbs. They just don't tend to come out as much as people that move here do, who like really lap it up and make the most of it. Because when you always take for granted what's on your doorstep.
Definitely.
Like for sure. But friends that had moved here, I was like, you know, what was your experience when you moved here? Like, was there anything like this? And they were like, no, there was things like meet up, but that could be like really hit and miss. And there wasn't this kind of like cool bougie thing for like our age group. So the more I talked about it, the more I just thought, I think this is going to work. And then one of my good friends, Marissa, said, why don't I do it with you? And as soon as she said that, I was just like a rocket. Like I designed the Instagram, chose the name, chose the brand colours have been the same from the very beginning. And I had divvied out all these tasks and made lists. And then she was like, you just don't need me. Actually, you go do this by yourself, because you seem to have this very much under control. But I just needed someone to kind of do that starting gun for me. And then I've been unstoppable since.
And it's kind of cool that they even realised that at the time that actually this was more of a you thing than anything.
Yeah. Like they didn't try and...
Yeah.
Because I had this whole thing, like her name is Marissa and she's from Australia, and so it was like Lyndsey Local, Marissa made, as in like Marissa made this her home, and I had this whole like plan for it, and it was going to involve quite a lot of coaching actually. So the model did, and which I never quite felt was the right fit. So actually, when she said that we would sort of do like coaching workshops and things as part of it, and then just as soon as she said like off you go within like a week, and that was it. It was really good actually to have full control of it. And then I felt I could, all the different ideas I was having, I couldn't stop thinking about it all the time, like when I was in my contracting role. So when that came to an end in the summer, so July 2021, I registered Connected as a business actually in lockdown in April 2021, because by this point I just believed that if I needed it, someone else would need it.
Yeah.
That was my theory.
I mean, that makes sense, right? If it doesn't exist, make it, right?
100%.
And it, like, so tell me, like, because I'm like Connected, you've got Connected, you've also got your coaching business. Like, if I'm correct in thinking that Connected takes up more of your time.
Yeah.
Which, how do you see the other business then, in terms of where does it sit in levels of importance for you against the others?
It's all, that's like, can't choose between your children. Not they have any children, remember, but these are my babies, and they do sort of feed each other. So I talk to some people through Connected who want to learn from me about my marketing, people that contact me through my coaching who are like, I really want to come out to a Connected Brighton event with you one day. So they're all about connecting people and helping people. So that's kind of like in the Venn diagram, there's kind of a big crossover.
Yeah.
The thing with coach, obviously originally when I became a coach, it was all about helping people build from infertility, or there had been like a shift in their life and they needed to work out who they were now, and I wanted to be able to facilitate that for them. And then now, obviously from starting a business, I just realize and appreciate what people ask me for now is very different. So everyone's like, how do you do your marketing, how do you do your socials, like how do you have the confidence to like show, I wish I could do what you're doing. And so I didn't do coaching for a long time, and people kept saying to me like, why aren't you doing it? Because obviously that was my first love. And I just couldn't work out how to do the three, because I was still doing some consulting and obviously doing Connected, and I didn't have a clue how to run a business. I've had to like really learn and still learning how to get it all right. But so many people were asking me about the coaching that I thought actually I'm gonna do it. And now I'm starting up, I've got my group programs now. So the idea is to, build those so I can, that one-to-many model, so that I can support lots of people, but in a short amount of time, so that I still have the time to build. Connected has always felt like a long game to me. Now doing the franchise in year 5, that I would have done that in year 2 if I could, because I'm really ambitious. But again, very naive, because I've had to learn the model. Like the world has moved around us so much, it's just been relentless of things to stop people paying for anything. Cost of living has gone up. We've had wars, we've had chaos in government, we've just had unrest, we've had, it's been everything for every business owner over the last 4 years. And so just keep adapting that model and understanding like how we flex and where is the real stability within the model. And now we have like our social club, we have our business club, and we support the tourism board, the Tourism Alliance and Both Visit Brighton, so that we've got this like full city concierge service where we want to be part of making sure that you have the best experience by supporting a local business. And like that foundation stone is now strong enough to be able to franchise it into other cities. But it's taken a long time to get there.
But I quite like the way that you described it as like the long game, because I feel like some people, I mean, we live in a world where there's just so much instant gratification, isn't it? That we often forget about the bigger picture and try and like play a longer game, because it's not always, it's not as sexy, number one, and it's not as like, I guess you don't get that payoff necessarily as to start with. I guess like I'm interested by when you talked about ambition, you said like I'm very ambitious. Like, where do you see ambition taking you next?
So definitely the franchise for Connected.
Yeah. So
that's really exciting and scary, because when you do something new, it may or may not work.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I've got to a point now where I can't not try, and I want to know what that experience is like of having a franchise. And it's always a different set of challenges, isn't it? As your business grows, there's just different things or more things to worry about. But I feel really excited about what that could look like and how long that again is a bit of a long game, because who knows how many cities would sign up, in the first year. It might be 1, it might be 10. And then that will present a different challenge of how you manage all those people and support everybody. But I just feel like community builders in their very nature, it will make that whole experience for having a UK community, I think is really exciting. So that's one place I feel the ambition is going to take me. And then with the coaching business, it's kind of continuing to grow those groups and build that personal brand, because, strategically having a personal brand means I get seen further than Brighton. And getting seen further than Brighton means there's potential for franchisees, sponsors to see me, investors to see me and think, actually, I want to be part of Connected. How do I do that? Whereas, we joke about me being like the Queen of Brighton, joke about being 5 Mile famous and Brighton famous. If I want to grow a national brand, I need to be seen outside of these city walls. And so that's where the personal brand, another reason for launching the coaching business. And, because I get asked onto podcasts from all sorts of places and, award nominations, not always in Brighton. So that's an amazing opportunity to meet potential people to be part of my business in the future.
Yeah, I see that. And what you talked about like different sets of challenges. What would you say is a set of challenges that you're currently going through?
Current challenges. Economically, it's been difficult for my audience. I would say like hospitality have been hit really hard with government changes and the cost of staff and NI, for example. So there's places that are closing that we worked with before, people who would struggle for like marketing budget now, for example. Obviously, like Connected has now become a marketing platform. So that's definitely been a challenge, supporting business owners who aren't getting the business that they would expect at certain time. This year I've definitely heard more people say, it's normally quiet, but not this quiet. Or we would have picked up by now. So that's definitely been a challenge for us in terms of how we continue to support and, get our revenue to be able to run our business and my business when people are struggling. So just looking at different ways that we work with people.
And what would you say, like, because I can understand obviously that all of these laws that are coming into place, it makes complete sense what you're saying. Like, what other than economic pressure that you might be facing on that, what is the wider impact you think on you, like when that happens?
It's just people not having as much money to spend.
No, but I mean, as in, so like on you personally, like how does that impact you, do you think?
Oh, well, just, if your business isn't making as much money, or it looks like there's a risk it might not make as much money, then it's just your average standard money fare will come into play.
How are you looking at what are you looking at to try and as possibilities to consider to get out of that, do you think?
So we're just looking at what else we can offer. So are there different ways of, one-off campaigns for people instead of paying for like a year's worth of memberships? Now we have a rate card if you just want to use us for, 1 or 3 months or 6 months. This is what we would charge for an advertising campaign rather than being a member, for example. Looking at bigger sponsors and bigger brands who have bigger marketing budgets so that we can continue to offer the service to the social club and also the businesses that we have. So, we're sponsored by EDF Energy now, which means that we can give all of our networking events for free for our members. So we're doing whatever we can to make sure that they can still come out and make connections and without it having to cost them any additional to their membership fees. So it's definitely kind of like bigger brands, sponsors. That's also mitigation. Are there other ways where people can enjoy the benefits but at different by doing the one-off campaigns rather than committing to an annual membership? Those kind of things. We're just trying to be flexible and think about where's the opportunity in this to still keep our value system of connecting people by supporting local, but appreciating like where those pockets are struggling more. How do we still support them to grow as a business, but by still getting paid as a business?
And it sounds like you thought of a lot of different like kind of ways to approach it. What haven't you tried yet that you could try?
Oh, what haven't I tried yet? I don't know. I feel like we've gone through like a lot of iteration over the last couple of years of The only thing we would do potentially different with the social club is either, well, you could either go two ways with it in the model. Either like kind of put the fees right up and you offer a more curated concierge experience and kind of hold the line on being a premium offering, or you scrap the membership and you just up the ticket prices.
Okay.
So then people who might be put off by it being a membership model, although we do offer guest spaces, we would just put those prices up. So we would kind of try and recoup what we would get in membership through individual ticket prices.
Okay.
But then there wouldn't be the commitment. And I think membership and subscription models are an interesting one to run, because lots of people don't like the commitment of a membership.
Yeah.
You know, some people will buy a membership and they'll never come out. And whilst that might be good for your revenue, actually, if you're running a community, it's not great if you have loads of people who don't actually participate and engage.
Yeah.
That then you don't have as much of a community. So you want to get that sweet spot between people make an investment that they then want to get the best out of. So then they do make the effort and they do engage and they do come out, and then they get all the benefits and the value that you wanted them to, e.g. they make great friends, they find new places, they use local businesses, and their Brighton life feels better for the service that you offer, which is always what I'm trying to deliver.
Yeah. So, and excuse the pun ahead of time, but like, which of these two do you feel more connected to? I still think another word to use, but like, if you, so, you know, when I said like, what haven't you tried? Your two kind of pockets were scrap the subscription, or, you know, make it the premium.
Yeah, scrap it or raise it,
so
or then scrap it, then higher ticket prices.
Yeah.
Or higher membership and smaller number of people. It's that great model, isn't it? You either say a lot of people pay a little, or a few people pay a lot.
And what do you think? What do you think you need to kind of learn or understand that will help you decide which of those two is the one for you? What would help you to choose, do you think?
What would help me to choose which one is better? I think it's just a massive risk, especially once you've been going for a while.
Yeah.
To like we are going to scrap our app, for example.
Okay.
Scrap the app. I don't think people love apps anymore.
You don't?
I'm not convinced.
Okay, I'm actually currently making
I just realised as soon as I said that, I was like,
that's fine.
I know you've got an app, Olivia, and I'm sure that will go very well. But that's different. That's really niche, isn't it? That's going to be for your clients. Yeah. And I think then that's like added value for them. Yeah. It's a very personal experience. Whereas the way that we currently have our app, it's
like an added overhead, basically.
It's an added overhead. Right now, it's an added overhead. So people aren't engaging with my app the way that I would want them to.
Okay.
So in which case, I know. Because actually, we just started using WhatsApp Community instead, because everybody's got WhatsApp. So for me, it's different to the purpose of the app. So for me, it was for people to buy tickets and for me to remind them to buy tickets.
Okay.
So that's predominantly what I would use it for. Whereas I can do all of that on WhatsApp Communities.
Yeah.
With Connected in the City, it might well be that when that is the franchise up and running, that we look at getting an app that people can use in any of the locations. Yeah. And we just need to work out how we would do that. So that is definitely something that I would look into in the future. But at the moment, in terms of like looking at what my customers do or don't do, like they don't engage with the app. The app does cost me quite a lot. So I'm going to scrap the app. I'm going to use WhatsApp Communities, and then I'm going to focus on the franchise, and then I'm going to look at actually what is the bigger need. Would my community benefit from an app? I definitely think when we started our app, it gave us a lot of credibility, and obviously it's a marketing expense. But if people aren't engaging, when we get sort of, you can get like 700 views of it a month, people going in and looking at things. Yeah. But I can't see the revenue coming through the app.
Yeah.
So actually, it's that kind of great challenge as a business owner. Where's your ROI coming from, and what is sunk cost actually? Like, I just accept that one because it gives me these other values. I'm not expecting a monetary gain back from it, which is how I've always looked at the app. But with things like WhatsApp Communities now, actually, that means you don't have to worry about all the updates. You don't have to worry about an app going wrong.
Yeah.
And everybody has WhatsApp and they already have it on their phone, so they're not having to download anything new. And we've done it as like a one-way feed to like remind people about obviously things we're doing with Connected, but also tell them things that are happening across the city. Because I do my City Tips newsletter every week, and I give like 4 top tips, but I might get given like a discount to something or X many tickets to give away. and there's not always that opportunity to get that information out quickly to the members. So the WhatsApp community has a channel for anybody to join and get my updates, and then we have a members only thread within there that I can then be like, oh my god, you guys, we've just got 10 tickets to the opening of Barbara's Beer House, who wants to come with me? It gives me much better access to my community.
Makes sense. So where do you feel like you're okay? So if you imagine like you're trying to make this call between these two different things. You've got the fact that you're scrapping the app, you've got two businesses on the board. Like, what feels like when you think about, I need to sort this out, which feels like the heaviest thing for you out of everything that you need to figure out?
Oh, out of the whole thing?
Just out of everything, yeah.
Everything.
What feels,
everything.
Yeah, what feels like the heaviest thing for you?
What feels like the heaviest thing?
It could also, it doesn't have to be like business related. It could be like, I don't know, like something personal or something. What just feels like the heaviest thing that you're trying to unpick at the moment?
That's a great question. I think just on the work side of things, the heavy thing comes from like when you build something that you really love and then you build expectations on it, then the idea of changing something quite fundamental is really frightening. Like with the idea of like, oh, we're going to scrap this.
Yeah.
Even like we're scrapping the app, I'm like, I haven't actually communicated it out to the members yet, but I was really like, oh God, what's everyone going to think? And are they going to think we've just got no money and that's why we're cancelling? You just get in your own head initially.
Yeah.
Then it's like, actually, it's just not serving the audience I want to serve, and I can serve them better. And I can then apply that money to other investment opportunities like the franchise. Actually, it's a really great business decision, but it still feels frightening when you change something, especially when I've built up a really great name for Connected. It's got a reputation. If we did say we're going to scrap membership, for example, what would that mean for people? The people that really love being members, that have been members forever, would that disconnect them from the brand and the risk of that? So the heaviness sometimes comes from thinking like, would I want to do? And I'd love having those strategic conversations. And I've been doing like Help to Grow, and I'm on the Sussex Innovation Centre Accelerator, and I'll no doubt continue doing more business courses where you think about what would happen if we like burnt this bit down and built it completely differently. What if we did a complete rebrand? What if we did this? What if we did that? But it does feel scary because I've built something really good, and sometimes it feels like a bit of a house of cards where you don't want to rock the boat too much. It's just that kind of, it's such a normal human response to change is fear. Yeah.
How could you, because that makes complete sense. You built it, it's your baby. How could you view it differently so that it would feel a bit lighter maybe?
I think the way to like view it is just to get more commercial about it. So it's almost like separating myself from it. So, there's definitely like one version of this story where Connected ends up in someone else's hands. It might be that Brighton has to be run by someone else, for example, or let's just say in a world where this becomes a really successful franchise that a VC wants to buy it off me. So in the beginning of Connected, it was like I couldn't imagine anybody else like ever hosting an event, ever doing anything with it. Like I was like all over all of it. And then you go through that painful business journey that most people do, in terms of you suddenly realize, oh, hang on a minute, there's only one of me and I can't do everything, and everything that I want to do is bigger. And so therefore it's like, I'm going to have to start peeling my sticky fingers off it and letting other people come in and letting other opinions come in and letting other people host the events. And
how does that feel, saying that?
It's really scary. And like the few times other people have hosted it, I've literally been like really anxious, like, oh God, like, and it's normally only because I genuinely really can't host the event for whatever reason. And everyone, has it mattered? Absolutely not. Which is wounding, but it hasn't mattered. Everyone's just had a bloody lovely time because that's how we set the event up. Always said at the events are not, although I've made lovely friends and my members are my crew for sure, and I really look forward to seeing them, and I feel like I'm organising my mates' diaries. Ultimately, they are there to make friends with each other. Yeah, I am the facilitator of this, and so the fact that the events can still be so much fun without me is testament to that protocol and that policy and how I do things. And so I do feel actually having that separation in my head that actually one day this might look very different is actually really healthy. I'm thinking it more of actually it's big. I feel now that Connected is bigger than me. The potential for Connected is bigger than me, and therefore I can't hold it I can't hold it back. I want to just continue to facilitate that growth and get different opinions in, and like do things like these business courses and keep pushing myself to get the business where I really believe that it can be, because I don't see why we can't compete with City Socializer or Meetup. Our model is so different. We're not just a social club and we're not just a business club. We're a city club and we're a people business, and how we do things is different.
I quite like the fact that you're talking about disconnecting yourself from Connected.
I know. I think that's how it's going to work.
But so then, because I'm trying to understand like how you maybe start to make steps towards that. So like, what have you learned from kind of talking about that might help to decide whether it's about scrapping the subscription or whether it's about becoming a premium service? Like, what do you think what you've just said tells you about that decision?
I think there is still weight in membership communities.
Yeah.
Because it does make people feel part of something, and people need to feel that they belong. And the communities are a great way to do that. So I still do believe in a membership model. And there's a way to bridge between the two. We have guest options, so people can come to our events. They just pay a higher ticket. So maybe it's just raising those higher ticket prices. We can offer a VIP membership where they do get that curation, and they do get a different offering. So, you'd have a tiered membership system. So there's like a third way, which is why don't we incorporate it? No, we haven't tried that yet.
Okay.
We did put a VIP on for a bit, and then we were like, actually, we're not sure how to deliver it, so we're going to just take it off. And also it looked really busy on the website because we had 3 tiers at one point. We had like a really low entry membership, but we just were really devaluing the brand, because we are offering a premium service, but we offer it at a like affordably bougie price. That's what I always like to say.
Affordably bougie.
Affordably bougie, because that's the kind of events we do, like affordably bougie. Like, we're not saying it's £100 to come out for dinner with us. We're saying it's like 50 quid to come out for dinner.
Okay.
So it's again like looking at the market that we're aiming at and thinking, actually, who have we had so far who've been like perfect members? Lots of our members are people that have moved from London, and so they really appreciate kind of like the quality. They value the experience, and therefore are happy to pay the price for it.
Yeah.
Like, we make a very small commission on the events because I haven't had that commercial mindset. I've had a community mindset, which is I want the majority of that money to go to the hospitality vendor that's looking after us, and I want these people to come and make friends. So therefore, like, the revenue stream is more the memberships and sponsors and things like that. So that's really been the focus. Is I still just want to, like with offering the networking events for free for members, it's still community first in my mind. And then as the businesses grow and you get more businesses into the business club and you get more sponsors and more collaborations, that then supports that whole ethos and value system. And, living my values to me is really important. If I suddenly partnered with Pizza Express, I think people would raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
But, there's some brands that we will partner with who I think are really affordably bougie places that can offer a lovely perk to members. But I will still want them to go and eat in that independent restaurant down the road. But as I get more of that commercial head on, I've kind of like relaxed about, actually, it's okay to have like an 80-20 rule of it's 80% independent and it's 20% commercial and corporate, because then it enables us to do the work I want to do.
And I noticed as well that one of the things that you said was a priority is like if people are paying for a subscription but they're not using it, then the very thing that you're trying to create doesn't get created. So I like that. And
I've got this big thing about Black Friday offers. I don't know if you're planning a Black Friday offer.
No, I'm not.
Okay. I
don't even know when it is. I think it's soon though, isn't it?
It's soon, like end of November.
Yeah.
But it's this whole thing around it's like price and value, isn't it? And I think people that go for price don't appreciate the value.
Yeah. And
so you have to be really careful with what you price at. So like with Connected, I had 50 members in the first 8 weeks when I launched the membership.
Yeah.
But it was like a £10 founders rate. And I do still have some people who are still on that rate who are now obviously winning, because I said it was a grandfather thing and they can stay on it forever. And I love that they're still with me. They've become some of my like favourite people for sure. But lots of those people that came for a tenner then didn't come out on £50 dinners.
Sure, yeah.
Because they can't afford it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And some people treat it like they just want, that's enough for them to feel part of it, which is lovely. And obviously they get the perks from like emails from me and offers and, you know, there's that personal service if they want it. You know, I always say to everyone, if you want a recommendation for a product or service, like let me know and I'll make a personal introduction for you. And I mean that and I see it through.
It's great that they're still there from the beginning. That's awesome. Like founders, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's only a few of them left now because most of them joined for the wrong reason. They joined for the price.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so it's the same with the Black Friday. Like the few times I've done a Black Friday offer on a membership, on social club membership, I've mostly got people who can't afford the events. So actually, it doesn't serve either of us in that regard.
I completely get that. I think you're right in the sense that they're buying for the wrong reasons. It should be about the value rather than the price. What else? What would you say else is feeling heavy in terms of either business or personal?
We're going so deep. I think one of my biggest things this year, especially with launching like my coaching and mentoring business, is like your brain has this wonderful way of like normalizing what you've done. And so I've really struggled to see how successful I've been, or how unique I am, or that what I have achieved is truly exceptional in the time frame. Yeah. And therefore, that's why you should work with me in any of my businesses, because I'm a business rock star. But to believe that has been really hard because my brain's just like, yeah, so what? We've done it now, so it's not that special. Okay. What's the next thing? As opposed to being like bathing in the glory of all of these amazing accolades, and you know, and I am like, when I look at it on paper, my mentor is always like, confidence needs evidence. Like write a list, and I write a list, and I'm like, that is amazing. Anyway, and I just kind of like crack on.
Why is that heavy for you?
Just because I feel like it can like hold me back at times. Like it's a whole thing of like, I remember someone saying to me, it's okay to celebrate your success, Lyndsey, as long as you're humble. Okay. And I was like, okay. So you can't just be like, oh my God, look at what I've done. I can't believe it. And I say that often. I'm like, I can't believe what I've done. Like I didn't know I had this in me. Yeah. It's like how humble is humble. And then you've got like some other online coaches who are like, they're allowed to swear, but they're like F humble. Like don't be humble, like just own it. And I feel like owning it and really seeing it and appreciating value. And I know it's such a human thing to always think like, you're not good enough and am I worthy? And
but you said it held you back. Like how does it hold you back?
I feel like it holds me back.
How?
I feel like it holds me back just in my own mindset because I just feel like I'm not giving myself enough credit for what I've done. I feel like I'm not valuing my own value. Okay.
If you didn't feel held back by it, what would it look like?
I just feel like I would be, I mean, I'm already pretty confident. Like, I know this is like first world problems. Like, oh, poor you, successful lady. Well, you don't feel successful. But I just think there's times where actually it would really benefit me to just remember that I haven't had a normal experience. Like my story is truly unique and I have done exceptional things. And when other people might have crumbled, that actually turned into my like Phoenix moment. And I wish that I would, just for kind of like my own like mindset and self-worth, just kind of fill that cup for myself more, because it's kind of never enough, because then it's like that next like high. Not that I've ever really taken drugs. There was a small speed and weed situation at school. That was it. So I'm always a drink person. But, you know, like you're going for like the next high. And I feel like way that your brains work in terms of like normalising and like rebaselining all the time, that it just means I put extra pressure on myself when I could probably just kind of take my foot off the gas at times and like relax a bit more. Like I work a lot and I definitely need to take more breaks. Like I didn't take enough time off over summer, and that was an enormous error. Just woke up on the last Friday in August and was like, man alive, I did not take any time off. And now I can't take any time off because it's about to go wild because everyone is back from September. But like I'm just constantly trying to push for the next thing and get to the next level, and you know, that sort of like validation and like I want, like going for the franchise, like I want to know what that feels like, and that's an enormous next big step. And I'm going to love it. But it's like the gratification doesn't last as long because, again, your brain just normalizes it.
What is it about that, like, chasing of the hit that feels important to you?
I just want to like I said, from like losing my dad, I just want to make the most of everything. And now I'm kind of in this position. I want to enjoy this experience and have as much of this experience as I can. And then there's always the fear of like the higher you go, the higher there is to fall. So that feels like there's more risk attached to it than ever. So like that can feel quite heavy of, what if it doesn't work and what would people think of me? And I've seen plenty of people fold their businesses or go back into the corporate, and it's all been fine. Nothing really, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like people think about us more than they really do. But it's just being able to control the controllables and know when I'm pushing myself too hard, actually it's okay. Like I've got far enough. I'm not running an A&E department. No one's going to die if like the franchise doesn't go out in January or it goes out in March. Like it's fine. Like just being a bit easier on myself because I'm so hungry for the next thing.
And how good are you at recognizing when you need to be easier on yourself?
I've definitely gone through like baby burnouts during this last 4 years for sure, where it's just so easy when it's your own business because there's always something. There's always something to do and there's always been something exciting. And even when I book time off, then it's like, oh, do you want to come to this thing? And this is also happening. And it's really relentless. But I can like see the signs in myself now, whether that's just like in fatigue or like physically. And I think, okay, right, we need to slow this train down. But, I'm very happy single and live on my own. And so there isn't anyone to, like you've got Robin to say, put your phone down now. I'm going to watch the telly.
And that happens plenty.
Hercules needs feeding. Come on, pay attention. Whereas like I'm an unstoppable train.
But I find this a bit interesting because on the one hand, you've got like you're talking about unstoppable train, like chasing the next hit. But then you're also saying you feel held back by. So I'm like, what's the relationship between those two for you?
Well, that's where I feel like if I could just being held back, it's like, although I'm unstoppable, I feel like I would go quicker if I would just really appreciate that I can do it. And I know I can do it, but there's something about that mindset at times that just makes me really question myself or not necessarily appreciate my value to other people or other people appreciate the value that I hold. So I had a big thing this year about boundaries, for example, where I talked a lot about, there's one thing for people to say, like, can I pick your brains on something versus people just trying to get your services for free.
Sure, yeah.
And when, as you know, you're a service provider, if people can't hold it in their hand, back to our point about price and value, they don't value it because they're like, well, it's not like if I was a wine shop, they wouldn't come in and be like, can I just drink your wine? I just want to try it. And is that okay? And you'd be like, yeah, drink the wine. Don't worry about it. Whereas like people don't think that way when you're a service provider. They just think, oh, you've got the time and you can spend time with them. And there's definitely people that I would do that for. But I just realized there was like a particular case where somebody asked me like 3 times to meet up with them about a project. And I was giving them consulting and making a really big difference to their project. And by the 3rd time they asked me to get involved in something for free, I just said, I really would expect to be paid now. So when you've got budget, let me know. And just doing those small steps has really helped me in that mindset piece of saying, actually, stop just helping everyone. You can't give away all your time for free. And in projects like Help to Grow program, which I really love, the government funded business course, my mentor was like, why are you doing that for free? Why are you paying for their tea? Why are you doing it in person? And really challenged me on like how people were accessing me. And like the more successful I have become, the more people want to feed off you. Like that is just how it works for anybody. That's not a Lyndsey Clay story. That's anybody who's made a name for themselves. People will want to ride your coattails and want to get involved, and they'll want your gold. But there's a point where you give it away for free and there's a point where you charge for it. And lots of people saw my post about it, and it was funny because people would read it out for me and they'd be like, oh, shall we have lunch? I mean, just lunch. Like, I'm not trying to get free coaching. And I'd be like, all right. Like, it's just saying that.
I like that.
I know, it was really funny.
Well, okay, so I like that you've taken that step. I want to know what is a potential next step that you haven't taken yet, and perhaps you haven't even thought about it yet. What could you take as a next step?
What could I take as next? Personally or professionally? Which is either or. One of the big things I want to do is more in-person workshops.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm doing an in-person workshop with John Card, who's an ex-Guardian journalist, and we're doing a collaboration on how you master the media and make it work for you. So him talking about the press and me talking about social media. And, you know, like today I did a talk at Brighton University, and I really love sharing like what I've learned in my business to help others practically. Also from a personal perspective, it's really good to push myself to do things more in person. Like I love a reel, I love a face to camera reel, but there's nothing like being in front of people.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm building an online coaching and mentoring business, you know, I love the in-person side of Connected, and I'd love to have that in-person side to my coaching business as well. So that's definitely something I'd love to do more of in the future.
And what about in terms of like trying to, you know, because you put that boundary in place that helped you to in the boundary you put in place the way you wouldn't give out your services for free. What in that journey you're trying to go on down there, what's another step in that journey?
Another step in that journey.
So not necessarily to boundaries, but to make you to, you know, that feeling of being held back. And you were saying how you talked about the reasons why you feel held back because you don't necessarily believe in the things that you've done. You said you put one step in, which is boundaries. What's the next step?
The next step after boundaries, it's just that belief, that just constant mindset belief piece for me. So it's doing the work on, you know, working with like coaching mentors, and I have like the wonderful Gary and Johnny from Go Succeed on Connected Brighton, of like just remembering like the value that I have for myself, but for other people, and therefore being of value means you deserve to get paid for the value you provide.
And how will that? How can you see that stopping you from feeling held back? Do you think? What would it allow you to do when you're not being held back?
I think. What would it allow me to do? What would it allow me to do? I don't know. I think just in terms of once people truly appreciate your value, e.g. they pay for it, it's very easy for people to say, oh my God, you're amazing. I'd love to spend time with you and I'd love to get coached by you. And you say, great, this is how much it is. And they're like, oh no thanks. You know, I think like finding the people who truly like value my value. I think that's the point where it's all, you know, I know finance isn't the only measure of success. And actually the majority of the measures of success that I've had so far have not been financial to me. Actually, it's been like making a difference to people. It's been like realizing what I'm capable of. It's been watching the friendships and relationships and the impact that Connected has had in terms of bringing people together. It's watching that business owner that came to me who couldn't bear the idea of making a reel, or it took them 40 takes to do one, who's now pumping one out a day and attracting new clients. You know, it's that like the impact to me is more, it's more a measure of success. And then, but I think it's definitely, there is something about financial success. Like I really want to pay my mortgage off by the time I'm 50. And like that feels like true success to me in terms of like nailed it. There's still, I'm probably just of a certain generation, having watched my parents pay off like their mortgages and my sister, she's the same, like she wants to pay her mortgage off. There's just something about like, that's what I feel would just make me feel like every box has been ticked. You know,
that's fair enough. Like what, because I'm this is a burning question for me. Like, what does the version of Lyndsey Clay look like who isn't held back?
It's probably not that different to this version of Lyndsey Clay, to be honest, because we just get in our heads, don't we? I'm obsessed with psychology at the moment because of where my brain goes on things, like thinking like, oh God, I'm really not that special because if I've done it, it can't be that hard. And then it's like, actually, that's just normal. And that's what brains do. And just giving myself grace that this is a really normal human reaction to a situation versus there is something wrong with me personally. It's just your brain does this in a weird protection so that, you know, you're just always going for the next thing. And it just, you know, it resets your baseline all the time. And just knowing that is a normal thing. So it's the unstoppable version of me. I think I'd probably just be even maybe on the coaching side of things more visible than I am now. I think on Connected, I'm already very visible in Brighton, but more visible online rather than in person. So I'm already really visible in person with Connected, obviously. And then sort of being in the online space, I think that's kind of more where like the future goes. Because, you know, let's say a version of the world where Connected gets really big and investors get involved, and then actually I go and sit on the board and I'm not as involved anymore. And also, you know, I'm going to be 50 in 5 years' time. I don't want to work at this pace when I'm 50. You know, my dad died at 52. So there's something about turning into my 50s for me, and this time alone that just feels so precious, you know, and I just think this is the time for me to take risks and to go wild and to try stuff, because I want to have a different pace by the time I get to my 50s.
So so I'm going to use your words against you, so bear with me. So,
this was meant to be a really nice experience.
So you said, like, if you were like the unstoppable version of you, you would be more visible online as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And then you went on to say that this is now a time for taking risks and doing things.
Yeah.
So why aren't you doing that?
Because I have this like slightly held back where I'm like, oh, but am I special? Am I?
Was this to do with the coaching thing?
Yeah. Like that's where like the brain will like hold me back, where it's like, oh, but you know, you've done it. But like that whole thing of like just normalising what I've done. Whereas I have to remember, I was writing it out this morning of just, you know, like things I wanted to let the students know, for example, in the talk I gave them today about, you know, not being afraid to fail, and you're going to make mistakes, and, you know, leverage your personal brand and be so clear on who you are and what you're doing and who you're doing it for. And just remembering that the people that come to me for coaching and mentoring, they haven't achieved what I've achieved, and that's why they want to work with me. Whereas there are other people who've achieved way, way more than me. And so it's something about like I want to own the lane that I'm in and not worry about people who are like ahead of me. Okay. So I think there's something about being like a baby sister, because I'm like the baby sister.
But what's now relate me from that into.
Do you love all my analogies? I love it.
I'm really enjoying the analogies. I really am. I love that. I love an analogy. But now link me from where you are. Now link me from that analogy to why you're not showing up online as a coach.
Just lost my... Well, because there was that fear for me that was I good enough? Like, is what I've done and what I'm doing like enough?
Why wouldn't it be?
Because my brain normalises it as it's not that special because you've done it now. Okay. Because you've achieved it. So it's kind of lost. It can lose some of its value just in how your brain resets the baseline.
So, and that's the thing that holds you back from sharing.
I think that's the thing. I think because I have questioned myself this year, and I've done loads of work on being like, actually, just look at what you've done, instead of just it being like because it is my everyday. Like if you told Lyndsey 10 years ago, like who I would be now, like she wouldn't believe you or even know how to get anywhere near here. Whereas like this version of me can logically see everything that I've done, and I am like super proud of it for sure. But there are times when I don't appreciate or value it as much as I think I should, or use it as much as I could, because it feels normal to me. Okay. So therefore normal doesn't feel like special or unique or bigger or better. No, it's like, well, that's just normal. But it's not normal. To the people I want to work with, they haven't won an award yet. They might not have their first client yet. They might not have their first 20 clients yet. Yeah. You know, they haven't been in the press. They wouldn't get asked on a podcast. Nobody knows who they are. And they've seen me leading the way, and that I'm the person they want to work with. There's a million other people who have had a similar journey or bigger journey than I have, and they'll pick up a different set of clients. You know, some people, everyone, it's like with any coach, and with like social clubs as well. You know, there's plenty of social clubs, and we all pick up our piece of the pie because of like who we are and how we do things. And I think me getting in my head that, you know, am I a big deal? Does it really matter? Because actually I've done all this stuff, but it was easy, and it wasn't easy. But my brain, and all brains do this, they just normalize what you've done. They forget the struggle. They forget, you know, I didn't pay myself for 2 years with Connected. I just poured everything back into it again. You know, the brain forgets all of that. Actually, it's come naturally, And that's the difference. It didn't come easily. It just came naturally.
Yeah.
You know, like marketing has come naturally to me, like thinking through, and partly from being a coach and coaching myself and believing in coaching. So I've always had coaches and mentors around me. You know, it has made this process easier for me because of the skills that came naturally to me that I didn't necessarily realize I had, and having the right network around me to make it a success.
Okay, so what could you, to try and break through this like feeling of being held back and like, you know, showing up online more as a coach, what would feel like a small step in the right direction, like a bit of a messy start? How could you do something that's just a bit slightly uncomfortable that could start you off?
I had this yesterday. One of my mentors set me the challenge of doing a YouTube video to share with my newsletter subscribers. So I did that yesterday. And normally I'm like, my hair's got to be right. But my hair wasn't right yesterday. But I was like, I'm just going to do it anyway. And just kind of do more like Instagram lives.
Okay.
Are really good for coaches.
Yeah.
And online services. And also doing more of those on Connected, because I love that everything I learn about Instagram and showing up applies to both businesses. And so more Instagram lives. It's just being more accessible to people. You know, people need to see you to know, like, and trust you. Like I talk about it all the time in my visibility models and frameworks. It's, you know, well, you've got to stand out. The space is noisier than ever. There's an enormous trust deficit online. And, you know, that's the other thing. People are bored of like marketing. They're bored of being sold to. Like everything is like an advert. Everyone is just trying to sell you something. And it's, you know, that's been a big thing for me to overcome as well, like sales ick of like, oh, I don't want to sell anything. You know, I'm like the queen of nurture content. Like I love nurture content because that's how the blueprint started.
Yeah.
It was just pure nurture. I wasn't trying to sell you anything. Whereas obviously now I am trying to sell things, and there's still an element of lots of free stuff that you can do. You know, all of the city tips on Connected and telling you to go to other people's places like that. I don't make any money off of that. Same thing as a coach. You know, lots of my content will be around, you know, tips and tricks and advice. Like that's free. Like you take that, and then it's kind of building on. But the next step is, if you want more of that, then you become a member here, or you actually become a member in my groups over here, and then I can take you to an even better level, because then you'll get access to all of these perks and all of this value.
Yeah, okay. I like that. So it sounds like you kind of already started making little steps in this.
Yeah, so and it's just doing it. It's just because my thing is time, like running two brands.
But in terms, so what? Okay, so, because I like that sort of as a first step. What haven't you thought of yet that you could do as a next step?
What haven't I thought of yet?
That will help you take you down that path of the showing up online more beyond what you've already said, basically.
Oh, tricksy. I don't know, because I've not thought about it yet.
Well, what could you do? What else could you do?
What else can I do? What else can I do? It's more, and I've done a few of them before and I really enjoy them. We've got one next week for Connected, actually, of doing like free webinars. Okay. So I really love giving away like some value for free. Funnels is another one, like classic coaching funnels, and also looking at funnels for Connected as well. I just want to get more and more into, you know, how do we like utilize the tech to get people into our worlds. You know, we did a lead magnet on Brighton, which was like 69 things to do in Brighton, with a little cheeky nod to like the dirty weekend, and then listed like loads of our clients about, you know, go and have coffee at Red Roaster and go and see Kyriakos and Nostos, and, you know, all of those kind of things. And obviously, to go to the Royal Pavilion, you must go to the pier. And then that kind of, you know, people would download that and then they'd get into our funnel, and then we'd be like, oh my gosh, you guys should come out with us, and can we introduce you to a local business, or maybe you are a local business. And it's the same on the coaching. It's, you know, looking at using more of those funnels of, you know, I've got free visibility tips and I've got a free ebook on how to start a business at the worst possible time, because in theory that should have been what Connected was. You know, an in-person social events company in a socially distanced pandemic shouldn't have worked, but it was the perfect time to do it. And that again just like funnels people in. So one of the big things I want to learn kind of by the end of the year is how to really harness the power of a funnel
Okay.
to get people into my world, and then not do more videos, but more YouTube videos, not just reels, more like training videos. On my membership platform for my coaching business, I have like a portal that kind of put different resources, and I was making videos for that yesterday, and I found that really exciting. That you can just go into the membership portal, and then there's like tons of different training, like 10-minute trainings. Just like bite-sized stuff. So I feel really excited about like building that up.
You look excited, just talking about it.
It's because I started it last night, and I was like, on Canva you can like talk through one of your presentations, and it's like almost like a Loom video. And I was like, and then I did it like messy, put a lot of spray shampoo in, and just whacked my lipstick on and just cracked on. Just thought, stop waiting for perfection, stop waiting for everything to be perfect, or like getting in my own head. And because I'm really busy, it's really easy to then like not do enough and feel like you're not doing enough. Yeah. Which then kind of just feeds into that, like, oh God, doubt yourself because you're like, I'm not doing everything I should do, and just give myself too much of a hard time. Yeah, it sounds like you do give yourself. I know, oh my God. I just feel like I really exposed myself on this show.
I think my last question would be, what haven't you achieved yet that you want to achieve?
World domination.
That's a great answer.
I'm on my way. What haven't I achieved? I'm really excited about the franchise. That is very cool. And I'm really excited about building the online coaching platform and that business. So this is kind of like my first year of doing groups. I've only ever done one-to-one before. And I really was like, I just really don't know about running a group. Like, do I want to run a group? And then I love giving like these talks and sharing value, and it's doing exactly that, but on a Zoom call. So when I kind of realised that switch, and your brain is automatically going to say no to something, and it's just talking yourself around, and confidence comes from action. I thought I'll just try it. So I've been kind of learning so much this year about what works for me, what works for people, like the value stack, like how does that feel for me, how does that feel for clients, how does it work in my diary, how do I balance it with Connected. And I'm still learning loads in this year. This is kind of, I gave myself this year to learn for both businesses. How do I get to that point where it's like super sustainable, it pays me what it should, I can have an amazing team around me, that the reputation, the value system, the brand is where I want it to be, and we're going to continue to grow and refine it. Nothing is ever perfect, and that's fine. And I've loved this year for like Help to Grow and the Innovation Centre, and been working with this great mentor, working with Gary and Johnny, and other people in the networking scene who like really love Connected, who'll always give me sort of time and advice. I'm just very, very grateful for like where I am, and I'm very excited for where I'm going.
Great answer. So just to really cap off, because how bad do you feel now in terms of your coaching thing?
How bad?
How held back do you feel about showing up on?
Oh yeah, there's still something about like my mentor's always on at me that I don't do enough authority content, and I find it really. I don't know why I find it so hard to do authority content. Okay,
why might you find it hard?
I don't know. I don't know. I think also just knowing what that really, things like, authority content is like how I took my client from X to Y, or how I went from A to B. And there's also an element of not wanting to like being humble, being humble about your success, or not showing off. Or I had this really big thing about not being palatable. Like, what if people feel like, you're just getting a bit too big, getting too big for your boots, or like, the showing off thing, I think is probably like the biggest fear I was having about talking about like my success in a way that was palatable to other people. So they wouldn't just, but all anyone is just mega proud of me. Do you know what I mean? Whenever I shout about anything, they're like, oh my God, you're smashing it. Like every time I talk to someone, they're like, oh my God, you're smashing it. And they're just really proud, because so many people have been on the journey with me. And especially people I used to work with, they're just like, oh my God, like this is incredible. And I value that so much, because they've literally seen me from broken over here to like built over here.
So how could you channel that into this fear of doing the authority piece?
I've just got to use that muscle, basically. I've just got to start doing it. Like, confidence comes from action. So it's just working out what does that content look like for me that feels comfortable, or even feels uncomfortable, but to just, like I always say, confidence is a muscle, isn't it? And this is just a new confidence muscle, and I'll only fix it by doing it. Just got to do it.
Love that. Great. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for letting me spill my entire commercial business model and heart and soul. I appreciate it. No, it's been lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.